All right, welcome to the Storage Ace community. You may have ended up here through one of my social posts or maybe through one of the Facebook posts that I had dropped out there that it generated tons of interest. But one of the questions that I've had in over 50 conversations, live conversations, Zoom conversations that I've had with aspiring self storage investors over the last few weeks is my story. How did I get started? Where did it all begin? How did I make it happen? It's been wonderful sharing that story with everybody that's reached out and scheduled time with me and have the conversation. So I thought I'd record a video and talk through that with you a little bit. So my story begins all the way back in 2002 when I was very early in my sales career. I was working for a company called WebEx Communications, if you guys remember WebEx, and I was an account executive. I was in sales, and I was gusto. I had the hustle. I was committed. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about being an account executive was just always finding ways to improve. And so I was a subscriber to the Sacramento Business Journal. I was working in one of their offices that was based in Sacramento. And I remember reading a story about a gentleman in town that had built this $100 million self storage portfolio. Probably over $1 billion today if he still has it, but $100 million self storage portfolio. And I just couldn't stop thinking about that. I didn't know anything about self storage. I'd never looked at it. I've used it in college, to store my stuff, over the summers and whatnot. But I didn't know anything about the self storage asset class itself. And so nothing happened. I banked it. I put it in the back of my head. Never really stopped thinking about it. In fact, I think I might have even revisited it a couple of times. But this is in a time and era when the internet is brand new. There's no iPhone yet. There's no smartphones really at all. The internet is fledgling. There's no training. There's no courses. There's no mentors. There's no coaching. There's no school community, to sort of learn about anything really. And so it just wasn't something that you could easily go figure out how to do. That seemed like a big construction project or something that I wasn't necessarily able to do. Plus, honestly, I didn't have the resources at the time. I was early in my career and, trying to make a living. So, fast forward to about 2017, and my career has continued to be successful. I'm in a couple of different roles over those years, progressively working myself up the corporate ladder, so to speak. I'm climbing as fast and furious as I can. I'm a top seller. I'm a top sales leader. And I'm in a position where I can buy my first multifamily apartment complex. So I buy a 6-unit apartment complex. And then a year later, I bought another one. And then 2 years later, we had bought 2 more. Between my wife and I, we bought 4 in all, sold one of them. And I remember the reason I was buying those was that I had a 10-year vision at that point. By 2027 or 2030, I want to be in a position where I can decide I have a choice to not work in corporate America anymore because my real estate investments, my real estate holdings, and the cash flow that came from those is now funding my lifestyle. And now I have a choice. I have a choice to go to Hawaii when I want. I have a choice to play golf on a Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon. I have a choice to spend Christmas in Florence, Italy, and the kids are all in college. That's where my wife and I are at. And it's like, hey, if you want to come see us, we'll get you a plane ticket and hop on over. But that's where we'll be. I wanted choice. So I set out on that plan, bought those multifamilies, and thought that was going to be the way for me to get started. And in about year 2, I started to realize that maybe the cash on cash return, the return on equity, like some of these metrics that was important to me to help chase that goal that I had, they weren't really that sexy. In fact, they were like mid to low single digit returns. I could have probably done better just by parking my money in a mutual fund and letting it grow. Now, there was some equity creation, but that's not what my ultimate goal was. My ultimate goal was to get into a position where the cash flow paid for my lifestyle. The equity would be there a long time down the road when we wanted to sell or if we wanted to trade up, those types of things. And when I double clicked into the reasons why, again, I'm learning. And so what I found was this: we had, like, I'll give you an example, and this happened over and over and over and over again, is that in one of the apartments we had, somebody had lived there for about 12 years and she had moved out. The entire apartment needed to be remodeled now. We needed new carpet, new paint, a couple of new doors. The air conditioning unit was broken, new stove, new linoleum, new countertops, everything, new everything. It was about $7,000 to $8,000, something in that range. That wiped out all the maintenance reserves that we had set aside, because we always plugged away at the maintenance reserves, a little bit here, a little bit there. And then I'd also write a check back, out of the cash flow that I'd received into the property management company to get that turned over so we could rent it again. And on average in multifamily, if you can earn $200 to $300 a month in cash flow per unit, that's kind of like what is expected. Now, sometimes they're going to do better, sometimes they're going to do worse. So I just spent $7,000, divide by, let's call it 300. I just spent like 2.5 years of cash flow to remodel this apartment. And that happened a couple of times in that apartment and in some other ones. And that was what was dipping into, that cash on cash return that I was looking to chase. And that was very eye-opening. At the same time, I was revisiting the thought in my head about self-storage. And it was during the pandemic, the very early, state, maybe about, just like 8 months into the pandemic, I decided that I wasn't going to buy a puppy and I wasn't going to learn how to make sourdough bread, but I was going to figure out how to buy and own self-storage facilities. I was going to do it. Didn't know if it was going to be better than what I had. I just knew that based on what I had read, that it was a huge and exciting opportunity. And I remembered all the way back to that 2002 Business Journal article. So the next step was I'd educate myself. And I ended up buying a book on Amazon on self-storage investing, read it to cover in a week. I was obsessed with it. I was learning something new. It was very exciting. I was very committed to it. And what I realized when I got done with the book was I understood a lot more about the asset class, the what of self-storage. But what I didn't understand was, how do I go do this? How do I go put all these things in place? How do I find deals? How do I know if it's a good deal? How do I underwrite it? How do I write an LOI? How do I write an offer? How do I negotiate? How do I close? How do I manage? How do I increase the value? How do I grow the portfolio? How do I put systems and automations in place? How do I use, today I'm asking myself, how do I use AI? But we didn't have that when I first got started. AI wasn't a thing. But you get the idea, like, how do I do all these things that I just learned the what of? And so I did some research, Googled around, and I ended up connecting with a mentor in the self-storage industry. I ended up writing a check and paying for that person's time to coach me and guide me on all things self-storage, A to Z. And that was the level up. That was the cheat code, if you will, that took me from really a novice to a much more than a novice, and maybe not a pro yet. And I feel maybe I'm kind of there with 7 facilities, but I'm getting closer. I feel like this is a game that you can continue to learn and grow from. But ultimately, what I ended up doing was hiring that person. And within 5 months, I had my first deal. 3 months later, I had my second deal. And 3 months later, I had my third deal. So in the first year of hiring that mentor, I had 3 deals under my belt, and I was off and running. I've continued now to purchase a couple of facilities a year since then. I now have 7 storage facilities. And I'm happy to share that as of August 1st, my 10-year plan became a 4-year plan. And I was able to separate from my W-2 comfortably and put myself in a position where now I can focus 100% of my time, energy, and effort into growing my self-storage portfolio. Just literally got done underwriting deal. Actually, behind what you're looking at right now is a deal that I'm doing a quick analysis on right now. This tool is actually down below for you, so check it out. There's a video explainer there that you can learn from as well. But and then now this opportunity to provide and do one-to-many coaching through a community like this stemmed from the Facebook post that maybe is how you and I got connected. And so The storage journey has been amazing. I've reached my goal a lot quicker than I thought I would. I still have a revenue goal or a cash flow goal of $50,000 a month coming through from the storage portfolio that we can depend on. So I've got some work to do. We're about a little less than half of that now. But that little less than half is replaced my W-2 and put me and my family in a comfortable position where I can now go put my time, effort where I want, or have the choice. If I want to play golf on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock, by all means, I can do that. If I want to go on a walk with my wife or have lunch with friends or my wife, on any day that I choose, that is the choice that I get to make. I'm about 5 years away from being an empty nester. My wife and I have 3 teenagers, senior in high school, junior in high school, and an 8th grader. And when the 8th grader is now off into college, the goal is to have by then, that's 5 years from now, hit that 50K per month cash flow target and have the choice. And maybe I'll see you in Florence, Italy for Christmas one time. Look, this is a fun business. I've had the time of my life running it. I have the time of my life talking with folks like you on how to grow this asset class and how to create opportunity and choice. And your choice might just simply be you want some side cash. Totally get it. That's an awesome thing too. Take a look at the modules that I have put together, the lessons, if you will. I go in depth. I'm giving a ton of feedback here with one goal in mind, which is to help springboard you into this asset class that I love so much. The chat is active. I'm in there every day. Let me know how I can help. Reach out, DM me. But yeah, that's my story. And the story is continuing to unfold with the new part of my storage journey, which is the Storage Ace community. And I'm glad that you're here. Appreciate your time. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.